Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for taking the time and joining us to hear all about some of the great packages we have with Amtrak Vacations and how you can experience America's landscapes by rail. I want to go ahead and introduce myself. I'm Jackie Malecki, and I will be your webinar host today. And yes, that is me there, taking the train from LA down to San Diego, right along the coastline there, just staring out the window, enjoying those beautiful sights there. I am excited because at the end of this presentation, I'll be giving away a $100 Amtrak Vacations gift certificate to one lucky attendee. But everyone stay tuned because at the end, I'll also be announcing some exclusive discounts just for all of you for taking the time to join us today. Now, to book any of these vacation packages that you hear about today, you're going to want to call 1-800-AMTRAK2 or call your local travel agent. Now, if you do have any questions throughout this presentation, please feel free to type them into your questions box right on the right-hand side of your screen, and we'll make sure to leave a little bit of time at the end of the presentation to go through some of those questions. But let's get right to it. So why should you travel with Amtrak Vacations? Well, first of all, it's a bucket list experience to travel by train. You're going to see some beautiful sights and parts of the country you would never see by flying or driving. There's room to roam on board the train. It's not like when you're in a car or in the airlines and you're stuck in your seat. You can get up, walk around, maybe go to the observation car with those large glass windows, taking all those beautiful sights there. It's less hassle when you book with us because we take care of everything for you. We'll book your rail, your hotels, and the different destinations that you're visiting, as well as your sightseeing and tours. The train has city-to-city service. What I mean by this is the train will pick you up in the heart of one city and bring you right to the next, right to downtown, city center. There's no easier way to get to your destination than by train. You can also satisfy your hunger on board. There's a dining car on all the long-distance trains. And there's also a snack car in all of the trains if you just want to grab a quick bite. And of course, with all of our packages, we have lots of flexibility. Most of them have daily departures, and we also have the ability to customize any of our trips to make the perfect vacation package for you. Now, I always love showing this picture of the Amtrak route system here because a lot of people don't realize the extent that Amtrak travels to. It goes to 46 of the 48 continuous states. The only two it does not go to are South Dakota and Wyoming. A little fun fact I always love to share is last year, 31.6 million people traveled on Amtrak. And that's people coming from all over the U.S. and all over the world, really, that all just want to enjoy a nice, leisurely, scenic train ride. Now, we do have a few different types of products that we have. Today, we're really going to focus on our rail experiences, and I have a guest speaker who I'll introduce in just a minute to go through what it's like on the train and some of those packages. But I do want to point out a few of the other products that we have. We have our escorted rail journeys. So you're traveling with a small group. There's a tour guide that's with you for the duration of the trip. It's guided sightseeing tours in the different cities and destinations that you're going to. So it's perfect for those that don't want to worry about what they're going to do and see every day while they're on their trip. They like everything planned out for them. We also have our independent rail journeys. Those are multi-city trips, of course, taking the train from city to city. We still include your hotels, sightseeing, and all of that, but you get to travel more at your own pace. There's more freedom and flexibility there. We have our family adventures. Great for multi-generational travelers, lots of family-friendly activities included, our rail and sail program. You don't just have to fly to your cruise port there. Why not take a nice scenic train ride and enjoy Seattle or Vancouver before your Alaska cruise? We have rail getaways, single city trips, adding rail from your local Amtrak station, and of course our packages going out to the beautiful national parks. So tons of options and products for you to choose from. But one thing I do want you to keep in mind while we go through some of these packages in just a minute is how you get to the start of your trip. There's over 500 Amtrak stations that you can choose to start from. We'll add the train from your local station to the starting point of your package. You can train city to city, and then we'll add the train taking you back home. But you also have the option to fly to the start of your package, train city to city, and then fly home. So just keep that in mind when we go through some of these packages. But now it is my pleasure to introduce our guest speaker today, Jarrett.
Hello everyone, it's such a pleasure to be here with you today. My name is Jarrett. As Jackie said, I'm the Assistant Product Manager for Amtrak Vacations. Now what does that mean? Well, my job is to make sure that we provide you with the best possible Amtrak travel packages that we can. And so I would like to start off by thanking you for signing on to this webinar today as we go over our Rail Experience program. Let me lend some context into the history of this product. We launched it in mid-fall of 2015 in preparation for the 2016 travel season. Well, fortunately for us, it immediately became so popular that we almost had to backtrack and start selling at the end of the 2015 season. The reason is the rail experiences really get to the heart of what a true Amtrak rail experience is. Now, the rail experiences we found are popular with both the rail enthusiast and a brand new rail traveler alike. And so without further ado, let's start looking into some of the most popular rail experience packages that we can provide you folks today. The number one rail experience that we have is the Northern Rail Experience. It starts off in Chicago, goes overnights for 2 nights into Seattle, then overnight down into San Francisco, and then back to Chicago. Now you'll notice by way of the map, there is no pre-included overnight stays in Chicago. The reason for that is we find many people find it more convenient to drive into Chicago, fly out of Chicago, or just get into Chicago in general because that's the major hub of Amtrak. Now, don't let me confuse you. We're more than happy to add a pre or post night stay in the Windy City, absolutely. But just to start off, the package doesn't include it. From Chicago, we board the very popular Empire Builder as it makes its way across Wisconsin, North Dakota, Montana, Idaho, and into Washington State. There you can see the Amtrak Empire Builder heading over the famous Glassman Coulee Trestle, a giant bridge that connects through some of the deep woods of the northern part of the country. Here you can see some of the great scenery. Amtrak is absolutely fantastic for anyone that really wants to get a real feel of an American train rail experience. You definitely keep your camera at the ready at all times because you'll never know what you're going to see, whether it be mountains, forests, lakes, wildlife, anything could pop up from the window of your Amtrak train. From the Empire Builder, we head you into the Emerald City of Seattle. There you'll get 1 night stay there. You'll get off the train, get to stretch your legs and explore the exciting metropolitan city that makes Seattle so special. There you'll have a hop-on, hop-off sightseeing tour. That'll take you to such areas as the Seattle waterfront, the Space Needle, the Chihuly Garden and Glass exhibit, etc. From there, you'll be heading south along the Coast Starlight, which was voted #1 best train route in the country. And there's a couple reasons for that. First off, if you're heading south, which you do in this package, you're actually heading along the coast of Oregon, as well as the snow-capped Cascade Mountains. It's a really beautiful scenic train trip, and as you can see from the picture here, you're definitely wanting to keep that camera ready. From there, you'll head into San Francisco, where you'll spend a couple of nights stay there. Your hop-on, hop-off sightseeing tour will get you all around the city. You'll get to go to the waterfront, Pier 39. You'll get to go to the Pioneer Square, etc. You'll get a sightseeing tour of Muir Woods and Sausalito, as well as a sightseeing cruise of the San Francisco Bay. Then you'll head out on the California Zephyr, heading east back to Chicago. California Zephyr, I do want to highlight this for you folks, is one of the busiest train routes in the country. So if you do want to book a trip on this, and they definitely will because it heads through the middle of the deserts, it heads through the Rocky Mountains, and heads right back through the heartland of the country, Definitely book early. That way you can get the best possible rate for this very busy train route. 9-day experience, Northern Rail Experience, remember our #1 best rail experience package. Now let's go into the Pacific Rail Experience where we add a little bit of a southwestern flair, one might say. Once again, starting off in Chicago, you'll head 2 nights on the Southwest Chief down to Los Angeles. So you'll pass through the Great Plains, you'll pass through the wheat fields, the deserts, right through the heartland of the country into Los Angeles. There you can see the Southwest Chief making its way through the desert. You can see the red rocks in the background. Very scenic, very beautiful. Now, what I love about Amtrak, and Jackie highlighted this earlier, is the room to roam experience. You can get up, walk around, head down to the dining car, the cafe car, the lounge car. Here you can see a couple of friends just relaxing, enjoying their trip. It's not frustrating like the airlines where you're confined to your seat. You can't move around. There you can also see the beautiful scenery. You can see the mother with her daughter there enjoying the experience that makes Amtrak so special. From the tour, you'll head right into Los Angeles where you get a hop-on, hop-off sightseeing tour all around the city. So go ahead and go down to the Santa Monica Pier. Take a walk around the Hollywood Walk of Fame. Head over to Grauman's Chinese Theater. Really experience what makes Hollywood so popular. Then here we go again, the beautiful Coast Starlight, Amtrak's #1 voted best train ride, heading up the coast of California, making its way to San Francisco. It's kind of funny, we actually had a gentleman from Southern California that recently traveled through us. He had lived in California for 40 years, had never taken an Amtrak travel. Boarded Amtrak, took the Coast Starlight for a ride up to San Francisco, and commented on a survey that he had never seen such beautiful sights in his home state as when he traveled by Amtrak. Once again, we'll be hitting San Francisco. You'll see that quite frequently this afternoon. There you'll get a hop-on, hop-off sightseeing tour of the city. You'll get to go to Sausalito and Muir Woods, as well as experience of a nice bay cruise of San Francisco. And there we go again, taking the very busy, very popular California Zephyr back through the heartland of the country, heading right back into Chicago. Now there's the dining experience on Amtrak, and we're going to highlight this a little more in a little bit. But one thing I really love about the meals on Amtrak is that it really does itself well to set itself apart from some of the other dining experiences in the travel industry. People always make fun of dining on airlines. They say it's no good, you don't get what you order or what you pay for. With Amtrak, it's really quite different. You get a full menu to choose from. So for breakfast, you could get anywhere from a nice Western omelet to some French toast. For lunch, a big hearty cheeseburger, or in my case, one of my favorite grilled chicken salads I've ever had. And then for dinner, you could get a nice steak paired with a glass of Merlot, or a chicken dinner, or even a pasta course. It's really a wonderful experience dining on Amtrak. The Pacific Rail Experience altogether is 9 days, heading all through Chicago, Los Angeles, San Francisco. Now we have the Southern Rail Experience, which is extremely popular because it incorporates the Sunset Limited train. Now I do want to highlight the Sunset Limited only runs 3 days a week, and so if you do want to book a trip on the train, definitely call into our agents or your local travel agent early because it books up extremely quickly due to the limited availability. You start off in Chicago and head west along the Empire Builder route. There you can see some of the absolute beauty that makes it so special heading out during the foliage season as the trees change color. You'll go into Seattle where you'll get a hop-on, hop-off sightseeing tour there. Then down on the Coast Starlight heading into Los Angeles, your hop-on, hop-off sightseeing tour will hit Rodeo Drive. It'll hit the Hollywood Bowl. You'll go up through the Homes of the Stars, so a true Los Angeles experience. And then take the Sunset Limited back east, heading through the deserts in the southern part of the country. And what I really love is as the train rolls into New Orleans, you get to travel through the bayous. You'll get to go in, you'll see the alligators and the egrets in the low-hanging trees from the train. You'll actually get to cusp Lake Pontchartrain, which is one of the largest lakes in North America, and head right into Louisiana, New Orleans, the Big Easy, where you get 2-night stay there and a sightseeing tour of New Orleans. There you can see the bays right there as the paddle wheel boats head out onto the water. Your sightseeing tour will take you to the Cities of the Dead, which is the big cemeteries where they used to do voodoo back in the day. You'll go by the French Quarter. You'll go by the Garden District where all the kings and queens of Mardi Gras get to live. A really festive few days in New Orleans. Once again, Southern Rail Experience, a 12-day trip in total. Now we have the Western Rail Experience that, once again, of course, comes out of Chicago, heads down to Los Angeles. You'll actually get to do 2 parts of the Coast Starlight, heading from LA to San Francisco, and then San Francisco up to Seattle. And then, of course, taking the popular Empire Builder back east. There's the Southwest Chief making its way through the painted forests. You can see the red rocks in the background as it heads through the heartland of the country. And arriving in Los Angeles, where your hop-on, hop-off sightseeing tour will take you up to the Hollywood sign, take you down the Walk of Fame, or even up to the Homes of the Stars. And then you'll take the Coast Starlight, cutting up through the edge of the Pacific Ocean and right into San Francisco. And then continuing on up through the snow-capped Cascade Mountains and right into Seattle. There in the background you can see the beautiful Space Needle. You can see the Seattle waterfront, which is really popular for anybody that's a seafood fan, and then get a couple of nice days there in Seattle before taking the Empire Builder back east. Look at it. You can see the white snow-capped mountains in the background, the forests. Does this not make you want to jump on an Amtrak train right now? Western Rail Experience, an 11-day trip altogether. Now here is the crown jewel of the rail experiences, the Grand Rail Experience. And this is a particularly popular package for any train enthusiasts. We have some people that like to quote-unquote collect train lines, famous train routes that they've heard all throughout their lives that they've always wanted to experience. And if you're looking for a round-the-country trip, this is perfect for you. Starting off in Chicago, heading out on the Empire Builder to Seattle, heading from Seattle down to LA on the Coast Starlight, heading from LA to New Orleans on the Sunset Limited, taking the Crescent, which I'll talk about in a moment with you, from New Orleans up to Washington, D.C., and D.C. back to Chicago. There's the Empire Builder route. This is one of my favorite Empire Builder pictures because it really grasps what the soul of the Empire Builder is. Traveling through the mountains, look at that site. You'll definitely want to bring a camera. Here you'll get into Seattle. You can see the Space Needle all lit up. The beautiful metropolis that is Seattle all lit up in the background. Then heading down on the Coast Starlight to LA, you'll get a full sightseeing tour and stop by Rodeo Drive. If you have a wallet much bigger than mine, you can do some shopping down there. And then heading east back to New Orleans. Now this right here, you'll see a really nice picture of the Amtrak Cafe Lounge. I love heading down to the Cafe Lounge because you never know who you're going to meet there. It's good if you want to go down there and grab some Wi-Fi and get some work done on your laptop, or if you just want to grab a glass of water, Coca-Cola, beer, wine, coffee, and maybe meet and mingle with someone you've never met before. I've traveled on Amtrak so many times. I've met with a Southern preacher, a real cowboy out of Montana, and a woman who was 99 years old. You never know who you're going to get to meet when you travel on Amtrak. You'll head into New Orleans where you'll do a full sightseeing tour. They'll take you down by the waterfront, take you to the French Quarter, the Garden District, the Cities of the Dead, and then head up on the Crescent. Now, the Crescent is almost the hidden jewel of Amtrak. A lot of people overlook it, and it definitely should never be overlooked. It gives you a unique perspective as you travel north from the southern part of the country. It travels north through Alabama, Georgia, into South Carolina, North Carolina, It'll make its way so far up to New York. It is a definitely must-do Amtrak experience. In fact, as you travel, they have a route map that shows you which historical aspects you're traveling by, whether it be plantation homes or battlefields from the Civil War. Definitely put this on your Amtrak checklist. From here, you'll head into Washington, D.C., our nation's capital. You can see the beautiful sunset on D.C. right here, and you do one of the most popular city tours that Amtrak Vacations can provide for you, which is the Monuments by Moonlight Tour. For any patriot, this trip is perfect. It takes you out in the evening when everything is settled down. There's not as many tourists out, and you get to go to see all the major monuments as they're lit up in the evening in all of their patriotic glory. You can see the Capitol Limited here. What's really nice is it heads through the Allegheny Mountains and past Harper's Ferry and heads back into Chicago to end the trip. The Grand Rail experience, 14 days in total. Now we have not necessarily a rail experience program package, but definitely still a rail experience, the Great American Majestic Landscapes. 2 nights in New York City, an overnight to Chicago, 2 nights in the windy city of Chicago before heading out on the California Zephyr to Denver, and then a continuing trip on the California Zephyr to San Francisco. New York City, you'll get to experience the bright lights, city sights of the Big Apple. Your hop-on, hop-off sightseeing tour will take you all around the city. You'll get to see Bryant Park, Central Park, the Empire State Building, Rockefeller Center. Get off and on as much as you like. It's at your leisure. From there, you'll head into Chicago where we give you both a hop-on, hop-off sightseeing tour and a city pass. So your tour will take you all around the city to all the attractions, and then your city pass will give you entrance to any of those attractions, whether it be the Shed Aquarium, the Sky Deck, the Field Museum. And it's a fast pass, so you don't have to wait in those long lines to get into those popular attractions. From there, the California Zephyr will deliver you to the mile-high city of Denver, where you'll do a highlights tour of the history, the industry that makes Denver so special. From there, head on into San Francisco, where you'll do a couple nights stay there and head out into Napa Valley. For any wine lover, this is a perfect trip to really end out the whole rail experience. You'll get to go up to wine country, do some wine tasting with some cheese and crackers, go to a couple of different vineyards. It is perfect. Altogether, the Great American Majestic Landscapes, 12 days in total travel across the country. Now we go up to our neighbors to the north to the Canadian rail experience and our Via Rail system. And as Jackie said, Amtrak has over 500 different departure points across the United States. And we can definitely use those to get you across the border up to Canada. In fact, it's very popular to travel up through New York, or if you're out on the West Coast, upwards through Seattle, to connect to any of our Canadian Via Rail products. If you ever have any questions on it, please feel free to call us or your local travel agent, and we'll definitely set it up for you. Now, the Canadian Rail experience is absolutely fantastic. You do 1 night stay in Toronto. Then you take the very popular Canadian Via Rail system across the country out to Vancouver, where you'll do 2 night stays there. In Toronto, you get a hop-on, hop-off sightseeing tour, so it'll take you down by the Toronto waterfront or up to the CN Tower. It's definitely worth staying and a great overnight to prepare for your trip out on the Via Rail. And look at the beautiful snowy Rocky Mountains in the distance. For many people, this is a complete bucket list experience, a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to travel cross-country through Via Rail. And there's many reasons for it. The train, as it heads west, will go above all of the Lakes region. It'll head through the Great Plains of Canada, which are too heavily overlooked. They're absolutely beautiful. You'll then head through everybody's bucket list, the Canadian Rocky Mountains, and into Vancouver. And look right there, you can see the Rocky Mountains, snowy, beautiful. Look at it as it travels by a lake right in the middle of the forests. It's such a nice place to kick back, relax, enjoy nature as you head from one point to another. You'll head into Vancouver, which is actually known as the Hollywood of the North. It's very likely that you'll run into a movie star or a TV star while you're there. There's many movies and TVs filmed in Vancouver. While you're there, you'll do a hop-on, hop-off sightseeing tour that'll take you by Stanley Park. It'll take you by the waterfront. It'll take you by the Vancouver Lookout. You'll get a full 2 days of sightseeing in Vancouver. The Canadian Rail experience, a full 8-day journey in total. Now, we're talking about Canada. Of course we got to talk about the Canadian Rocky Mountains. So we have 2 nights in Vancouver for the classic Canada and Rockies eastbound. 2 nights there, overnight up to Jasper, where you do 2 nights in Jasper, and then head east for 3 nights encompassing the country as you head into Toronto, and you'll actually get to enjoy one of the 7 natural wonders of the world, Niagara Falls. So 2 nights in Vancouver where you get a hop-on, hop-off city tour, as well as a visit to the Capilano Suspension Bridge Park, which is a fantastic way to experience nature. What's funny about Vancouver is it's a very metropolitan city. It's right up on the waterfront. There's a lot of big business there. But as soon as you take 5 minutes outside of the city, all of a sudden you're in a lush forest. The Capilano Suspension Bridge Park is acres of bridges, tunnels, roadwalks. It's absolutely beautiful. It also houses one of the world's largest totem pole collections. And what's great about the Capilano Suspension Bridge is they will pick you up from all of the major Vancouver hotels. And that's pre-included with your admission. That way you do not have to worry about getting yourself out there or back to your hotel. There's the beautiful Canadian line heading east, heading out to Jasper. You can see the sunset on the train, the people that are gazing out into the forests. You can see how it is during the day, and then in the bottom corner, how it all folds out in the evening, where you're laying back on your bed, you have a nice tray table, maybe a cup of coffee, maybe a glass of tea, and you're literally staring out the window into beautiful paradise. You'll be heading up to Jasper National Park, which is absolutely glorious. Once you get in there, you're going to see the majesty that makes it so special. There's the snowy mountains. You have the Icefields Parkway. Now, what's really cool is you actually get to do an Icefields Parkway excursion. And because most of the road is covered in ice and snow, you get to go in an augmented vehicle with tracks instead of wheels that'll take you out into the parkway so you get a nice, safe, but unique experience. Some of this ice and snow has been around since the Ice Age. What a wonderful, once-in-a-lifetime, unique experience to do it. And you'll get to go to the Glacier Discovery Center, which will teach you about the history of this wonderful national park. There you'll continue heading east as you make your way to Toronto. And here is the Via Rail system. Now, Via Rail really takes it up a notch. They have musicians on the train that are here to entertain you. You can see the very comfortable lounge car right there, the dome cars, which they're dome cars on both Via Rail and, of course, Amtrak. You're never at a loss for sightseeing while you're traveling on either train lines. And you'll be heading east into Toronto and head out into Niagara Falls. So you'll do 2 nights in Toronto with a full day tour of Niagara Falls, which is absolutely beautiful. You get to go there. You'll actually get to go on the Hornblower Niagara cruise. For anybody that's familiar with the cruise name Maid of the Mist, same exact cruise company. They just changed names. So you get to go out, experience the Maid of the Mist, your Hornblower cruise. Then you get to go to the Niagara on the Lake, which is this really quaint little town with some shopping, some high-end dining, bars, wineries, very fun. Altogether, Classic Canada and Rockies Eastbound is a 12-day journey. Now, let's transition and talk a little bit more about Amtrak. You can see the beautiful Pacific Surfliner as it's heading south to San Diego. I believe that's probably the same train that we saw Jackie staring out of so comfortably earlier. Let's talk about the coach accommodations on the train. So when we here at Amtrak Vacations talk about coach accommodations, we really compare it to first class or business class on any given airline. There's much more space. The seats recline at a 45-degree angle. On most trains, there are leg rests that fold up. You're free to walk around, which is very unique. You really get a much more comfortable, leisurely experience. And then the roomettes. Oh, I love this picture. You can see Grandma and her granddaughter comfortable sitting there. She's got the pillow. They're sitting on the big plush roomette chairs. They've got the table folded out. They're having a good time playing cards. And look out the window. They're clearly traveling on the Southwest Chief as the desert unfolds before them. It's absolutely gorgeous, so comfortable. And remember, with the roomettes or the bedrooms, the deluxe bedrooms, all your meals are included. So for an example, we talked about the Pacific Rail experience earlier. Hypothetically, if you took a roomette or a bedroom on there, you'd actually have all your meals included. We'll talk about that in a second. 14 meals would be included if you were to upgrade to either a roomette or a bedroom right here. The bedrooms are very comfortable just the same. The only difference is there's a little bit more space. There's a long couch, a very comfortable reclining chair, and your bathroom and shower are actually private in the bedroom as opposed to the roomette. You can see everything folded down here in the evening for people to relax, get comfortable, and get a good night's rest aboard Amtrak. And I tell you, there is nothing more comfortable than being rocked to sleep than the train rolling down the way as you drift off into sleepy time. Here we have some friends of ours. In fact, you can see Jackie staring out the window, enjoying her train on the Coast Starlight up to San Francisco. You can see some people waving, enjoying it. This is really what makes Amtrak so special. They're in the observation level, staring out, enjoying themselves. A couple people have some drinks. It's really a fantastic way of traveling. Now, dining on the train, I mentioned earlier, for the Pacific Rail experience as an example, you have 14 meals included. The dining on the train is absolutely fantastic, and really it sets itself apart because it's almost like a rolling restaurant. You go down, you actually make a reservation, your waitress will take you over and sit you at your own table. They'll cook the meals to order. They'll even give you some suggestions. Would you like a glass of wine? Would you like a beer, sir? And they'll definitely give you a really warm reception. And one thing I did want to highlight that I forgot to mention earlier, I do apologize, is that one thing I always suggest on upgrading is the Coast Starlight between the Los Angeles and San Francisco route. That way, if you upgrade to, say, even a roomette, for just a couple of bucks extra, you get your own private accommodations and you'll get 2 meals on the train included, both a lunch and a dinner, and you'll get a nice dining experience on the train and even access to the discreet parlor car. Now I'm going to turn it back over to our host Jackie right now. It was such a pleasure talking with you today, and I should be back in a few minutes to answer some of your questions.
Thank you so much, Jarrett, for that and all that great information about the train, some of the packages and destinations that we have. For all of you, that was just a brief overview. We have so many more destinations and packages to choose from, and you can view them all at amtrakvacations.com. So how do you book one of these rail vacations? Well, you have a few different ways. You can certainly give us a call. Our phone number is 1-800-AMTRAK2. That's 1-800-268-7252. You can book online at amtrakvacations.com, or you can visit your local travel agent. So I also want to go ahead, I want to mention a few of the everyday discounts that we have on the Amtrak rail portion of your trip. There's a great discount for anyone a part of Veterans Advantage. There's one for active military and their families. Seniors on Amtrak, so anyone age 62 or older, will get a 15% discount. There's a AAA discount, which of course your local AAA travel agent will help you with that booking too. And children on Amtrak are ages 2 to 12, and they receive 50% off the adult rail fare. But what I'm really excited to announce to all of you today is an exclusive discount that we have just for you for taking the time and joining us today and we're offering you all $100 off per couple when you upgrade to a sleeping accommodation on any of our Rail Experience packages. But don't wait to book, because that offer is only good until June 8th. So you have 2 weeks, and that promo code is WebinarEXP. And again, you will save $100 off per couple when you do a sleeping accommodation on our Rail Experience packages. So I know that's a lot of information that we gave you all today. So I do have a great handout, so you can click and download that. It'll have some of the packages we talked about today, and it will also talk about the promotion. I do see some questions that came in during this presentation. If anyone else has any questions at this time, please feel free to type it into your questions box, and we'll definitely get to some of those questions there. Before I go ahead and do that, though, I want to announce our lucky $100 Amtrak Vacations gift certificate winner, and that winner is Carolyn Davis. So congratulations, Carolyn. You now have $100 to put towards your next Amtrak Vacations trip. So let's go ahead and do a little Q&A here and get to some of those questions, and Jarrett and I will certainly answer those for you. So we have one from Barbara. On the Chicago to Seattle to San Francisco trip, can one get on in San Francisco and then go to Chicago to Seattle and then back to San Francisco? Jarrett, do you want to answer some of these questions here?
Yes, absolutely. And Barbara, that is a very good question. So we absolutely do currently have Rail Experience packages that travel out of San Francisco. And later on this year, you'll also be seeing some other departure points pop on our website, including New York City and Washington, D.C. And so, of course, you can absolutely travel out of San Francisco. Additionally, any of our packages you see on our website, we're more than happy to customize for you to get whatever is most convenient for you to get you on your trip.
So we have a question from Elizabeth. Is the lodging in Glacier National Park included in the package as well as the tours?
Very good question. So the Rail Experiences don't currently have time in Glacier National Park. However, we do absolutely have many packages that go to Glacier Park. In fact, Glacier Park is our #1 selling destination. And so for any Glacier Park packages, yes, you'll be staying at the Glacier Park Lodge. You'll also regularly see tours such as the Big Sky Circle Tour or the 2 Medicine Valley Boat Cruise, or even both combined, as well as a stay at the park. So that is a very good question.
And just to add on to that one too, so anyone that is looking to go to Glacier National Park or any of our national parks like the Grand Canyon, Yellowstone, we'll actually be doing a National Parks webinar coming up in 2 weeks. So stay tuned for that invite too if you are looking to travel to any of our national parks. So we have another question. Is the cost of dining on Amtrak part of the package?
So as long as you have a sleeper accommodation on the train, such as a roomette or a bedroom, all your meals will be pre-included within the price of your ticket. Now, if you purchase just a coach seat, which is very comfortable, and many people do that, you will have to purchase out of pocket for your meals. That being said, the meals are always very good. And so, yes, if you purchase a roomette or a bedroom, they are included. And coincidentally, as Jackie stated, we have a promotion that right now for any Rail Experience packages with an upgrade, you'll get $100 off per couple. So if you think about it, as long as you book by June 8th, you'll get meals included with your sleeper accommodation, but a $100 discount. I think that's a pretty great deal.
So another question for these packages, is transportation to and from the hotels included?
Well, we don't currently have transportation pre-included with most of the packages. That being said, most of the Amtrak stations are in right downtown centralized areas of the cities you're traveling to. And most of our hotels are within a walking distance or a very short taxi ride over to it. So it actually saves you a little bit of money by just taking a cab once you get to the station. And most frequently you'll find that our cabs are actually already waiting once the train arrives. So very easy to get over to your hotel.
So another question, I'm not used to riding a train, so my question, with these trips, would I have to catch a flight to the starting destination? I stay in North Carolina. How would that work?
Well, it's very easy. So depending on where in North Carolina, you could easily drive to the station or have someone bring you, or depending on where you wanted to get off, whether it be in North Carolina or a different area of the country, you could take an airline to get there. In fact, frequently we do see people flying into major hubs and taking the train. However, because Amtrak has over 500 different departure points, we'd be more than happy to get you on for the closest train station to your home. And we're more than happy to find that for you if you call into us, or your local travel agent will definitely be able to get you on your trip.
So another question, is it possible to add an additional night at a location to these trips?
Absolutely. We are very customizable here at Amtrak Vacations. You call us up and you say, hey, I want to spend an extra night in Seattle. Absolutely. Without a question, we'll definitely be able to get you booked at an extra night here or there, and we'll make it very easy for you so that we basically take out all of the guesswork. You just tell us what you want to do, and we'll get it booked for you.
So from Florence, sorry, I missed the first few minutes of the talk. What does hop-on, hop-off tour mean? Would you mind just elaborating on the hop-on, hop-off city tours, Jarrett?
Absolutely, and I love talking about these tours because they're both very fun as well as very convenient. So the hop-on, hop-off tours are located in most of the cities that we operate in. Usually they're trolleys or double-decker buses, depending on whatever configuration the company's using. They make stops all around the city at the major attraction points, the major city centers, the major parks and buildings, and you can get on and off at your leisure. So say you were in Chicago, for an instance, and you wanted to get off in Millennium Park and go walk around for a little bit. Your trolley would take you to the edge of the park, you'd get off, and the conductor would say, well, we'll be picking you up again in about 40 minutes. So you'd get some time to go and experience that. You'll get back on when it comes back about 30 to 40 minutes later and continue on to your next destination. And a lot of the things that people don't realize about the hop-on, hop-offs, because it's a very easy transportation method, it's actually a really great tour method just the same. If you were to, say, sit on the tour for the full loop that it does, the conductor will tell you all about the history of the city you're in, give you some key points of what you want to see and do. So it's very great transportation-wise and very easy transportation-wise, as well as very educational as well.
Awesome. Thank you so much for that. We have from Kelly, can you upgrade only one leg of the trip, or do you have to upgrade to a roomette for the entire trip?
Kelly, that's a very good question. So, like I said, we're very customizable here, and we're very happy to get you on the trip that you want to go on. And so if there is a certain point of the trip that you want to upgrade to a roomette or a bedroom on, absolutely we can do that for you. You're not forced to only do, to do the upgrade throughout the trip if you only want to do it on, say, one or two train legs.
From Robert, he's saying, I live just outside of Tampa, Florida. Is there any route plan that I can start off from Tampa?
Absolutely. So there's actually a Tampa station, and I've taken the train into and out of it myself. So you would take the train out of Tampa, and depending on what package you're going on, we would connect it with whatever train line we needed to get you to your destination. So say you wanted to go to Washington, D.C. You could actually just get on in Tampa and get off in Washington, D.C., hypothetically. Or if, say, you wanted to head all the way up to Niagara Falls, well, we'd get you on in Tampa, connect you through one of the stations in New York, and head you up to Niagara Falls. We're very easygoing here at Amtrak Vacations. And Amtrak, with over 500 different locations for Amtrak stations, we're very happy to get you going from whatever station you're most comfortable and is most convenient for you.
So we have Christy asking, can I use my Amtrak Guest Rewards points to pay for an Amtrak vacation?
Very good question, Christy. So currently we are not able to redeem any points for Amtrak vacations. Unfortunately, if you were to try and use this, you would have to go through Amtrak directly. But there's good news. While we can't redeem them, we can help you accrue points. So sometimes, you don't have enough points to travel on Amtrak, even if you were to purchase them out of your points just by yourself. But you wanted to go on an Amtrak vacation to see Glacier National Park. Well, we would just take your rewards number, put it on your rail reservation, and help you earn points off of the trip. So once again, I apologize. We're unfortunately at this point not able to use them to book a trip, but we can absolutely help you earn them for any future Amtrak trips that you wanted to travel on.
So we have Carolyn asking, what was the discount code on the webinar? So that, again, that was webinar EXP, and that's to save $100 off per couple when you upgrade any of our rail experience packages to the sleeping accommodations, whether it's the roomette or the bedroom. So we have Kelly asking. Oops.
Oh, I was going to say, and definitely worth it. You get a $100 discount for an upgrade on the train. Who beats that?
Definitely. You really get the full Amtrak experience with that upgrade there. So we have Kelly asking, when will packages for 2017 be available?
Very good question, Kelly, since I'm the one that's launching them myself. So you should see some packages for 2017 start popping up in the middle of the summer to the end of the summer. And actually, we'll be doing it at the same time we launch our 2017 Amtrak Vacations brochure. So if you're interested in getting a brochure for next year, please let us know ahead of time and we'll definitely put you on the docket. And at the same time, you'll start seeing those packages pop up on the website. Also, feel free to call in to us at any time, and we're happy to update you on the status of the 2017 packages. But I can tell you right now, the majority of what you see on our website for 2016 will be what's on the website for 2017. So even though the price may be a little bit different one way or another, or there might be a little tweak here and here, if you want to go onto our website in the meantime and see what packages we currently run, those packages will largely be the same for next year.
So we have Lorraine asking, can you give us an idea of the cost, say for the Via Rail journey?
Well, that's a good question, Lorraine, because but unfortunately it varies quite wildly. Depending on when you want to travel, where you want to travel, and what day of the week you want to travel, it does vary quite a bit. Also, it depends on are you booking quite in advance or last minute. So it's really hard to give a substantive number. However, you can always call into the Amtrak Vacations Company, and we will give you an update on whatever you're looking to travel when for Via Rail or Amtrak, as well as your local travel agent. But this is a good time to give you all a really great tip. Now, for the Via Rail, you saw a couple of different versions of Via Rail packages we run. There was the Canadian Rail Experience that was running from Toronto out to Vancouver. There was also the Classic Canada that ran from Vancouver to Jasper and then out to Toronto. What's really great is that if you travel west from the east, so say from Toronto to Vancouver hypothetically, a lot of the time it's going to be less expensive than if you're traveling from west from Vancouver to east to Toronto. So if you're looking to save a little bit money in your wallet, try booking from east to west first, and that way we can save you a little bit of a discount.
So we have from Robert, do any of your packages include airfare to and from a remote location?
Currently, Robert, we are not able to book air. However, if you wanted to go through a local travel agent, I'm sure they would be able to book your air and then give us a call into our company and we would book the rest of the travel for you. In fact, quite frequently, that's how a lot of people do it. If they want someone to take care of their vacation travel for them, they'll go to a travel agent, they'll quickly book them on an airline, and then give us a call, the parameters of the trip, and we'll get the whole rest of it booked for you.
So we have a question from Kate. Do clients get a city pass in all major city overnight stops?
There's only a few cities, a good handful of cities that run the city pass. Those would be the major metropolitan cities like New York, Chicago, Seattle, San Francisco. So not all packages have them. However, the major cities, like I mentioned, as well as Boston, Toronto, and San Antonio, those have the city passes. Now, their city passes in those locations are largely pre-included, but if you saw a package that didn't have it, we're more than happy to include that in the package as well. Just let your travel agent or your Amtrak Vacations consultant know that, and we'll be happy to upgrade you with it.
From Joni, we have her asking, do you offer 5 or 6 night packages to New England in the fall from Pittsburgh or Baltimore?
I love that question, Joni. So absolutely. In fact, we have a New England fall foliage journey that does a few nights in Boston, then takes the Nor'easter, which is a wonderfully scenic train from Boston up to Portland, Maine, and does a couple of nights in Portland, Maine. While in Boston, you'll get a fall foliage tour that'll take you out into Western Mass. You'll also get to experience the city of Boston, which, coming from Boston myself, is near and dear to my heart. Then you'll get to go up to Portland, where you'll get a lighthouse tour. Portland, Maine is known for its iconic lighthouses. You'll also get a true Maine lobster dinner while you're there. Now, we don't currently have them pre-built with rail from a specific location. However, if you are coming out of, say, somewhere in Pennsylvania, we can absolutely add the rail to get you to Boston and Portland and back again.
We have a question from Bill. If you have a roomette, do you also have a seat in the observation area?
Very good question, Bill. So the great thing about the roomette is it's your own private accommodation on the train. It's your own place to lay your head at night, or if you want to shut the door and get a couple hours of some tranquility, it's yours to do. Now, we don't pre-assign seats in the observation level because it's first come, first serve. However, I've personally traveled by Amtrak dozens of times. Hey, I work for the company. That's the benefit. I've never had a problem when I stroll down to the observation level in finding a seat. Once in a while, you might have to wait a few minutes, but generally, you're able to go down there and find an open one. So while we don't assign or hold off seats, you are usually able to find one without too much difficulty.
So question from Amanda, is there parking at most stations for people to leave their vehicles while on vacation?
Yes. For the majority of the stations, you will find that there is long-term parking available. And the good thing is, a lot of the time, the long-term parking is actually free. However, that's not standard for all of the stations. So you will want to either call Amtrak or your Amtrak Vacations consultant ahead of time to confirm that. And we're more than happy to check in and either confirm or let you know what the other closest station that has it for you. So, but the majority of them do have it, and very luckily, the majority of them have it free.
So from Janet, we have her asking, do you need a passport for going on any of the Canada trips?
Yes. Whenever you're crossing the border, you will need to have your passport. So we always suggest getting those a good substantial time in advance, not 6 to 9 months. Or if you already have one, that's perfect. Whenever you're crossing the border on Amtrak, you'll need to have your passport on you, but you'll also need to have your passport at the time of booking your trip so that we can import the passport into your reservation. So please do that ahead of time. It's always great to plan accordingly and get that done. And that way there's no stressors when you're about to join your trip.
So we have Florence asking, AAA 10% off, is that off the rail portion only or the whole trip/package?
Very good question. So it's 10% off the rail fare, and then the rest of the package is at the regular price. But that's always a good thing about going through either a AAA agent or even just bringing it up during your conversation with an Amtrak Vacations consultant. If you have your AAA card, we're more than happy to apply it to the booking. And that's 10% for AAA. If you're a senior, 62 or older, you could get as much as 15% off the rail portions of your trip.
From David, we have him asking, do you need to tip the wait staff in the dining room or the room attendants?
Yes, we always highly suggest doing it. They do such a good job, and if you travel Amtrak, you can really see in real time how much they enjoy being there, how much they enjoy serving the people that are on the train. So we do always suggest tipping both the wait staff as well as a couple of bucks to the ladies or gentlemen that do the turn down service in your roomettes or bedrooms at night. Also, if you do happen to include red cap service, which is the in-station attendants, we normally suggest tipping them as well. It doesn't have to be too much. They appreciate whatever you can provide, but they do such a wonderful service, and you'll see it when you board Amtrak, that it really isn't so much, out of your pocket for the amount that they do.
So from Kate, it's been a while since I've traveled by rail. Is the check-in security like the TSA, where you'll need to arrive 2 to 3 hours in advance of departure?
Very good question, because it's the exact opposite of the TSA. So it's very safe and secure, so don't worry about that. But Amtrak is very easily accessible. I've been there, and I don't suggest doing this, but I've been there 10 minutes early before the train's about to depart and boarded the train. We normally suggest for any safe getting there and getting on the train and no stress is getting there about 45 minutes to an hour early, but compared to some of the airlines nowadays, that is a godsend compared to the 2 to 3 hours that you normally have to be at an airport. So 45 minutes to an hour early, but you won't have to go through any TSA or anything like that.
So we have Yolanda. I want to travel from Newark, New Jersey to Santa Barbara for 2 nights, then to LA for a few nights. Final destination would be Las Vegas. Is there a train in connection to all of these destinations?
So from New York, you would be able to connect through New York Penn Station and heading west through Chicago out to California. We would definitely be able to get you to Santa Barbara. We'd definitely be able to get you to Los Angeles. The only place where there's no train in that combination you mentioned, Yolanda, is Las Vegas. We do have throughway bus services that run from Los Angeles to Las Vegas, but there's not currently, unfortunately, a train line that runs into Vegas. However, if you're fine with the throughway service, we're able to connect you through the whole way and get you right back to New Jersey.
From Amanda, do you have to have a passport or will an enhanced driver's license work for the Canadian trip?
Very good question. An enhanced driver's license is acceptable by Amtrak as long as you are legitimately living in the state that the enhanced driver's license has provided you for. So for areas like Seattle or New York where the enhanced driver's license is available, we are absolutely able to provide you cross-the-border service with an enhanced license. Please just bring that up with your Amtrak Vacations consultant or your travel agent at the time of booking so we know how to properly input it in the Amtrak system.
So we have Robert asking about AARP discounts.
So Robert, that's a good question. We don't currently run any AARP discount, but there are plenty of options as well. One thing that I highlighted that many AARP members are of the age of is around the 62-year-old mark. In that case, merely mention that you're a senior 62 or older, that will immediately give you 15% off. If you're AAA, you'll get 10% off. And if you're active military, you will also get 15% off. Also, children are 50% off as long as they're 12 and younger.
We have from Norm, can you talk about taking your dog on Amtrak?
So we don't currently run any programs in which animals are allowed on Amtrak. However, Amtrak does allow animals on certain services. We normally suggest it's most easiest if you go through Amtrak directly, just because our packages don't really have any animal inclusion programs. But Amtrak itself will be able to provide you with animal services as long as it's, say, a help pet or a seeing eye dog or something like that. Just inform Amtrak in advance.
So we have time for one last question, so we'll take Amanda's question. What do you do with your luggage while on the vacation?
Very good question, Amanda. So most of the long-distance Amtrak service trains allow you to have up to 2 checked bags and up to 2 carry-on bags per person. And so there are areas of the train in which you can check the bag. There are areas of the train where you can do some sort of overhead compartments or areas at each end of the train where there's places to put luggage. The short distance trains, they don't do check bags, but they do have areas on the train where you can hold your luggage as well. The only thing is when transporting from one train to another, you will have to transport the luggage yourself. Amtrak, unfortunately, would not transfer it but from train to train for you.
So it looks like that's all we have time for questions today. So if anyone else does have any other questions we didn't get to or you think of later, please feel free to reach out to us, give us a call, or call your local travel agent. So I want to say thank you so much again, everyone, for taking the time, joining us today. I hope you all have a wonderful day.
Thank you, everybody. It was great talking to you.